Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be across this beautiful blue-green globe of ours. Welcome to Real News Live. It is a toxically masculine Tuesday. How do you like these, Steve? I'm working on them. I've been doing my push-ups and shit. What do you think?
You look less gay.
As always, I can always count on you fuckers. All right, welcome to Toxically Masculine Tuesday. This is our new show. I'm joined, of course, as I always am, by the usual crew. The guy to my immediate right, stage left, Dr. Brooks Agnew, the smartest man in America. Brooks, how you doing tonight? How's the house going? And what are you drinking?
Doing pretty good. Got the upstairs bedrooms for the additional kids. Flat. Just about finished. The car's going great. Started putting the exhaust system together today. It's going to be done tomorrow. Won't be long now.
All right. Good. And the man immediately beneath me, who is beneath me in every way except toughness and masculinity, Steve Doran, the trail boss, somewhere in nowhere, Fuckville, Arkansas. Steve, how's it going out in Arkansas? I guess it's, you said it was abominably hot there with the humidity in the swamp, right?
Yeah, it is. It has been. We got 2 days that cooled off, and now it's going back up again. But at night, it's nice. It's like last night, it was 66 degrees out. So at night, you can sit out on the porch, have a cocktail, whatever, and it's very nice. Last
night, when I took Barkley for his walk at dusk, the sun was basically down. It was 105 still.
Whoa.
So it sucks. Yeah. It's another week of hell, and then it's supposed to we're going to get a big break. It's going to drop into the 90s. I can't wait. This is sleep on top of the bed with no covers and the ceiling fan spinning at full speed with the air conditioning on season in Las Vegas. We have achieved that. The man immediately to the right of Steve Doran, stage left, I don't know, the youngest member of the group, the most handsome member of the group, and the owner of the finest strip club in Nashville, Tennessee, the Lickety Split, TV's Blake Wally. Blake, how's it going? One of the girls getting there. And how much are you paying? I might know some. I know a girl in Iowa. I know some people who may, some European ladies may want to come and work for you at the Split. What do you pay? What's the payout?
Well, that could certainly be negotiated. There's certain, independent contractors to some extent. It's complicated, but I let my money people deal with that. I just kind of hang out and schmooze with the guests. But should be up in a couple hours. I'll get the party flowing here. It's a Tuesday night, so I'm just hanging out in the karaoke lounge until then. Doing well. Great to be here. We'll be drinking a little bit of Steve's famous whiskey here. It's good stuff.
All right, the Steve Doran Trail Boss whiskey. I just got a notification on my phone, and I have just one question. Why the fuck did they make a season 4 of Ted Lasso? Ted Lasso is one of those shows that started out hilariously brilliant in the first season, and then it went woke and just got shittier and shittier and shittier. Why 5 years later are you doing another season? Just please stop. All right. There is a lot of news, a lot of things to cover tonight, and we are going to start, I don't know, just where I kind of want to start, which is, right here. This is where I want to start. There was an interesting hearing the day after our show last week, and we are not going to neglect that hearing whatsoever.
What the did you do with that virus? I plead the fifth. What? I plead the fifth. Ain't no answer I ever heard of. Do they speak English? And I plead the fifth? I plead the fifth. English, motherfucker, do you speak it? What? Do you speak it? Yes. Good. Now describe to me exactly what you did with that lab in Wuhan. Tell me about the gain of function. Tell me about the funding. Tell me about the cover-up. I plead the fifth. Does this look like a fucking science experiment to you? I plead the fifth. Say I plead the fifth again. I dare you. I double dare you, motherfucker. Say I plead the fifth one more goddamn time. Do I look like a bitch to you? No. Then why the f*** did you treat the American people like one? Please, just tell me what you want. You change the story every 6 months. And now you want to plead the fifth, like that magically washes the blood off your hands. I have the right to. You had the right to tell the f***ing truth. You didn't. Now I'm here with this can of Lysol because your little science turned the whole country into a Petri dish, and I'm about to disinfect the last of the bullshit right out of your mouth.
So that is the Pulp Fiction version of Donald Trump and Anthony Fauci, and it's not that far from reality. In fact, here's a little clip, an unbelievable clip from the hearing on Wednesday with Anthony Fauci on Capitol Hill.
It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the f*** do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that will see that clip over and over and over again. Because there is no defense of what you did. You may have had a 50-plus year legacy of public service, but it ends in total and complete disgrace.
Okay, that was U.S. Senator. I don't know which senator it was, but what he's talking about is Anthony Fauci went before the Congress, went before the Senate, and
declined to answer. Under the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer. You
declined to answer more than 111.
I told you last week that's exactly what he was going to do.
January 1st, 2014, and
January
and that there would be no consequence. There is no consequence. Did you destroy any federal record or tell anyone else to?
Under the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
I find your objection unsupported and direct you to answer the question.
Advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer.
Well, nothing says honesty like taking the fifth, huh, Doc? Let's try something. What day of the week is it today?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion. Therefore, although it pains me to do so because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your.
Okay, Steve, you seem like you want to talk about this first. Let's go ahead and see what you have to say about Dr. Anthony.
I told you last week, when we discussed this last week, I told you that that's exactly what he was going to do. I told you there would be no repercussions. Nothing would happen to him. And that's exactly what's happened. He wouldn't talk. They have done nothing about it. They will do nothing about it. And he will get away with being a mass murderer.
Okay. Brooks, anything you want to add to that? It was really interesting. Actually, let's watch this other clip before I go to you, Brooks. None other than former Green Bay Packers and current Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Aaron Rodgers went after Anthony Fauci on ESPN, one of the most libtard networks out there. It was hilarious. He basically went right down the guy's throat. He chose not to have the vaccine because of all the negative information about it, and instead treated COVID with, guess what, hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. And he could have played. He was forced by NFL rules to sit out a week, but he could have played 2 days after being diagnosed. Let's let Aaron Rodgers go after this twerp a little bit.
over the years of the past?
I'm going to plead the fifth.
Okay. Okay.
Like that.
I love that guy. Okay.
Like that absolute coward, Tony Fauci. Absolute coward.
Yeah.
Eric's back,
Are
baby.
you kidding me?
Yeah. 111
You got a
times.
pardon and you're in front and you pleaded over 100 times
Yeah.
at the White House. What are you scared of, Tony?
Yeah.
I thought you were the science.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought you were I am science, and you get up there and you can't answer a question.
Yeah.
What are we doing? And how much time did the network spend to that? How much time did they spend on my responses every week, on my vaccination status, on Taylor and Travis's wedding?
Yeah.
Did they do even a minute? Did they do even a minute on Tony Fauci?
No, I don't think I've heard
Nah, I
anything.
bet they didn't.
But on that note,
And there was another scandal this offseason, too, involving a voter for MVP, for Coach of the Year. How much time did your network spend? Where's your cap? Did your network spend on
our
that?
network.
I wish
How much time did you
Go back
spend?
to Fauci.
This is
Go
awesome.
back
How
to
much
Fauci.
time?
This is awesome.
Go back to Fauci?
Yeah.
Go back to the coward Tony Fauci and the science?
Hold on now.
Who's spending the entire time writing in his diary about how fun it is to be famous? You got to be kidding me.
Okay, so on that note,
All right, so Aaron Rodgers went right at him. What happened is that his diaries were exposed this week. I'm not sure exactly where they came from. Brooks, you probably know the story. You usually do. But basically, we found out that everything that he said, that we said, was a lie when he said it in 2020, 2021, and all the way through. Turned out it was a lie, and he wrote it in his own diary.
Well, when you are a federal official, your diaries are subpoenable. Okay, everything that you record, every phone record, every text message, every email, and every diary is subpoenable. That's where they got the diaries. So, I mean, he tried to be with science. Anthony Fauci was pardoned by auto pen, and so therefore he is not eligible to take the fifth. However, he really didn't do himself any additional harm by not talking to Congress, because had he opened his mouth, he would have lied again, and then they would have had him after the pardon of committing perjury. So he just didn't answer any questions. And Steve's right, nothing is going to happen to him. But the one thing that came out of all of this is the American people, the world, finally knows that Fauci wasn't working by himself. The CDC, the NIH, the World Health Organization, they were all in on it. And by the way, none of them took the vax. They were all in on a multi-trillion-dollar heist. They moved $4 trillion from the middle class directly into their pockets. 500 new billionaires were created in 21 months. Now you know the true story.
I can do that. I can do that in a flash. Just revalue the fucking Iraqi dinar fight.
That's right.
TV's Blake Wally. What did you think of Fauci's performance? And I mean, do you think it's gonna move the needle at all on public opinion of him and of Democrats and Republicans who went along with this or not? What do you think? I think it's gonna because that's really where the only consequence is gonna be.
Yeah, it should, and it's disappointing that Democrats aren't doing anything about this. He should be held accountable. Yeah, it was a no-win situation. Hopefully, they'll find him, in contempt. But I think, yeah, you're right. He's going to be protected, and I think it was all really getting into the conspiracy realm, all part of the kind of the globalist endgame. This was supposed to be a permanent quarantine, and they were just going to keep us camped. It was just going to continue forever, and they wanted to keep us all tracked and get those, the passports and make sure that we're all complying with all of the regulations. Yeah, I think that was making their move, and they did get the mail-in ballots. I don't think it was as bad. Maybe it's hard to predict something like that. You don't want to unleash something too catastrophic, but maybe it wasn't bad enough to give us the excuse, and it didn't work because, like Brooks was saying, like the ivermectin, people take it regularly in India, so it didn't wipe them out. It didn't do as much devastation. Yeah, if they actually cared about saving America, it would have been completely different than it would have been, ivermectin, and it would have been just fine. It'd been like, hey, it's 2 weeks, and it would have been 2 weeks, but they had an ulterior motive.
COVID was not that bad. I got COVID. All I did was stay hydrated and slept for a few days, and I was fine.
Yeah.
Basically, all those people that died were treated by medical professionals inappropriately. They were given the
Yeah, well, and treated under his recommendations with remdesivir
right.
and
so it was the treatment
ventilators.
that killed them,
ventilators,
not the COVID.
which killed them.
So I know numerous people didn't get the jab like myself, got COVID, ran it like you would if you got a cold or the flu, no issues, no problems. All the people that died, like I said, they were improperly treated at the hospital. They were put on ventilators. They were given medication that they should not have been given, and that's what killed them.
And here's the thing: the hospitals got paid $37,000 or $39,000 for every patient that died. They got paid if you died, so they went out of their way to fucking kill you and make it look like they were treating you by giving you these poisons and giving you these ventilators, which destroyed people's lungs. So yeah, it was insane. And I'm going to go back to it again. I'm going to repeat what I said in 2020. I was told about 10 days before anybody had heard the term coronavirus. I was told by my friend, the mechanic, who I would like us all to meet someday. He said there's going to be a virus, and it's been genetically targeted towards the Chinese and the Indian populations. And it killed a lot of Chinese, apparently, but it didn't kill a lot of Indians. You know why, Brooks? Because the Indians take ivermectin a lot. They have it over the counter, and they actually have a habit of drinking lemon tea with quinine in it right before bed. It is a cultural thing in India, and quinine is the root. Is basically the root of hydroxychloroquine. That's right. So in other words, you're right. That pandemic didn't work, but trust me, these monsters, these mass murderers, this Goebbels Jr., Fauci, they're working on something that's going to bypass all that.
Okay, now look, emergency management agencies, and this is a fact. I've got copies of the training. 6 months prior to COVID, emergency management agencies did what they call, they basically trained and did an actual live performance, basically, of what would happen if the country was overtaken by a virus and people, while they were working, were dying and getting ill and having to. It was like it was a playbook of exactly what happened.
Yeah.
When they announced,
you're right.
COVID,
right.
It's called Event 201.
Right.
So like
I can send it to you, and I'm telling you, it's verbatim exactly what happened.
Right. And so it's exactly like you said.
6 months before anybody ever heard the word COVID.
It's exactly like you said, Blake. This was the globalists' final solution. They were going to try to take everything over. It didn't quite work out that way. We fought back, but now we have to decide what we're going to do about it. I don't know if we can do anything about it unless we get rid of Fauci. And when I say get rid of him, I mean try him, convict him, and not a court of law, in a military tribunal for treason and crimes against humanity. That's what I'm talking about. Arrest a little motherfucker and strip him of everything that he holds dear, and then send him to the gallows. That's the only thing that's going to discourage people from doing this in the future, because guess what? This virus came from gain of function research, as did many others, including ticks and things like that. And they went after Bobby Kennedy Jr. today, or this week, about this, and he just basically went back at the news and said, fuck you.
Lyme disease that almost certainly came from these experiments that is now devastating our country. RSV that came from a laboratory, which is now the biggest killer of children in our country. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic, which was a trauma for the whole globe. And all of those have been linked credibly to gain of function research. So it's something that with enormous cost and no proven benefits. Why?
So we have the gain of function research. Then they went after him. They went after him again, Dana Bash, on measles, and he fought back on that too. You got to admire the guy for fighting.
You are the HHS secretary, and you are talking about things that lead to vaccine hesitancy in this country, and it is something that causes problems for people when there is not anything.
Let me ask you something. Do you see your job as ending vaccine hesitancy, or do you see your job as telling the truth to the American people?
I see my job as telling the truth, and the truth is that there is study after study after study. It's one of the most studied things out there in science, and it is
like a parrot. You're repeating it like a parrot.
So
I've actually read the science. You don't want to come back here and debate the science.
I'm not debating this with you.
Of course you are.
No, because I'm not debating.
All you know how to do is repeat things that people told you and say, trust the experts. That's what you did during COVID. Now we know that Anthony Fauci, who was the expert, was lying about everything, about masks, about social distancing, about natural immunity, about the transmission from the vaccine, about the source of COVID. He was lying, and you were punishing people for not trusting the experts. And now you're rolling out the experts again to talk about something that you have no personal knowledge of.
Okay, well, guess what? That is my job.
I'm going to stop it right there, because that is my job.
That is my job.
That is my job to propagandize people about something about which I have no personal knowledge. Fuck you, Dana. By the way, her husband worked, I think, in the Obama administration. What a cunt. Fuck that bitch.
By the way,
fuck these people. And wait a minute. Can you blame Russia for invading Ukraine? Because you know what? There were biolabs right across the border, all along the Ukraine-Russia border. Forget about the Azov battalion. Forget about bombing Russian citizens. Forget about bombing the water supply to Crimea. Forget about all that. That alone is reason enough to justify the invasion, to get rid of those fucking biolabs. And there is substantial and credible evidence, Brooks, that COVID itself was developed in one of those Ukrainian biolabs and then shipped to China for distribution.
Yeah, they experimented on Russian orphans to perfect it. Some 90 million Americans did not take the jab, and 0 of them regret it.
Well, and I think you can also say 0 of them contracted COVID, as far as I can tell.
Well, they probably contracted COVID, but they got over it and built herd immunity.
Exactly. Blake, does Fauci deserve the death penalty?
Oh, yeah. No, it should be very easy to convict him if they can get him to talk. Getting past, what he was the questioning and taking the fifth on every issue. If they actually get him to answer all those questions, he will eventually have to crumble and admit something. And yeah, he would be gone. But I think it's too big to fail. So I just don't see the corruption getting him. He was kind of did the dirty work of these eugenicist globalists at the top. He was the great guy, and they almost got away with it. Us, meddling around and these rebellious Americans.
Why does he have to admit to anything? We have the evidence hanging.
Yeah, you don't have to admit to anything. You have the evidence. Go ahead, Steve.
The fact that he was experimenting on children in a foreign country makes him an international criminal, which means he could be tried for crimes against humanity, and it's got nothing to do with the United States, and they can't pardon him.
I think he should be tried for crimes against humanity just for what he did to the beagles. You've heard about these experiments on the dogs. He cut their vocal cords so they couldn't cry. Nobody had to listen to them crying out, and let bugs eat their faces. What fucking value does something like that have in terms of a scientific experiment? The answer is none. It's pure sadistic. It's pure sadism. It's pure sickness. It's pure Satanism. This motherfucker, I'll tell you what, we got to draw a bottom line here. If this fucker does not swing from a noose, and frankly, I'd rather have him skinned alive in 1-inch strips, but that's just me, on pay-per-view, if this guy doesn't swing from a noose, then there is no justice on this fucking planet. And Donald Trump, you can go fuck yourself for not going after this piece of shit. Trump, as a matter of fact, Trump's decided this week, get this, he's decided he's not going to fight. He's not going to fight the auto pen pardons that Joe Biden passed out. Why is he not going to fight him, Brooks? Do you know why he's not going to fight him, or should I tell you?
No idea.
He's not going to fight him because guess what? He wants to issue blanket pardons to all of his people when he leaves office. So he's not planning on fighting this. He wants to use the same legal precedent to protect his own ass. You're a fucking loser, Don. This guy, sorry. I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry. Speaking of Don.
I agree with you 100%.
Thank you. You're a smart man. Thank you.
I'm going to give you a thumbs up and not even call you gay. I'm not going to call you gay. I'm not going to call you gay for the rest of the program.
There you go. All right. There was another assassination attempt on Trump. God knows why. He's not doing a fucking thing.
This is also part of a national investigation. They are still looking into the details surrounding this, but the weapons that he was found with are very disturbing, which include body armor, a pistol, an AR receiver, an AR, high-capacity magazines, multiple notebooks containing concerning statements, 2 radio signal devices, and the FBI is investigating this along with the sheriff's department here in Los Angeles as Trump's arrival is set for this evening at 6:30. He's planning on having a dinner during this 2-day West Coast swing where he will tout his work in the economy and, from what we understand, take a few jabs at, of course, Governor Gavin Newsom. The purpose of the trip is to spotlight his economic accomplishments and crack down on crime. He was seen leaving the Capitol earlier today before getting on Air Force One to come here to California. We will have much more coming up in the next hour, but for now we are still here at Trump Golf Course getting ready for his arrival. There are police and security everywhere, as well as quite a few Trump supporters.
So this is at a Donald Trump golf course club up on the top of the hill in Palos Verdes called Terranea, which I've hung out there many times and tried to pick up some rich Republican women. And I used to live just down the hill in Redondo Beach, and it's a wonderful place. But there was a guy there all armed up in body armor, ready to go after the president. You know, maybe you should just start killing these people. I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. Steve, you got any comments on yet another planned assassination attempt on the Big Don?
Well, this is it's to the point of getting ridiculous. I don't think we've ever had this many attempts on a president's life in the history of this country. Never, ever has this happened. So, and the fact that they are catching it before the perpetrator is able to act is very suspicious to me, because it's almost like it's a setup that, you know, the president wants to make it look like his life is in danger because of all of these things that he's doing. I mean, it like I said, it's surreal that a president would have this many attempts on his life during his presidency, and that they would catch so many of them before it actually the mission was executed.
Well, the guy I was talking about earlier, the mechanic who told me about the coronavirus 10 days before he'd ever heard of the coronavirus. When Trump had problems with a plane coming out of New Orleans in 2024 during the campaign, and he had to turn back, I said, was this an assassination attempt? And he goes, well, I called up, he used to be Secret Service detail for Bush and Reagan, and first Bush. And he said, I called my buddies on the Secret Service detail, and I asked them if it was an assassination attempt. And he said, oh, no, we haven't had one of those for 2 or 3 months. And this was back in 2024 when he was not even president. So, yeah, you're right. It's normalized to the point that you don't even get it covered on CNN anymore, right, Brooks?
Well, this is what happens when the Democrats run out of money and it looks like they're going to lose the election. Many down ballot seats. They go violent. That they've always done it. They've done that since 1848. Now, the sad part is that their weakness makes the Democrat socialists, the communists, look strong. And they're actually starting to take some of these primaries. Now, I don't think that's exactly a bad thing, because when the communists go up against Republicans, they're going to lose across the board. No American is going to vote for, well, there are a few Americans that will vote for communists, but not many.
Charts.
And I think they'll lose worse as the DSA is taking over the party.
Yeah. Blake, any thoughts on this next assassination attempt on President Trump? I mean, does it justify the Patriot Act? I don't know.
It's hard to say. I mean, I guess they're happening so often. I was barely aware of this one even happening. So yeah,
it happened about an hour ago. Yeah, it was about an hour.
Okay, that's why. Well, yes, he's made a lot of enemies. And it's a lot of these radical leftists. They need to be watched, but that doesn't mean I want to increase any of the surveillance. But it is a disturbing trend that's what they're going to. I agree with Brooks. It's sad that if they're losing the narrative, then that's when they resort to violence. That's pretty dangerous territory.
He must have walked by a flock camera.
Yeah, probably. The DNC is broke. They have no policies to run on except Trump bad or Iran war bad. There's some rumors we might have a deal in the Iran war, yet another deal coming up here soon. But when they realize they're going to lose ground, then that's when the violence is going to start.
Look at the assassin. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Look at the assassin that was in the fence line at the golf course where the president's playing golf, and no one checked the fence line.
Yeah.
To see if all of this stuff, none of it makes any sense at all. And it's extremely suspicious to me when you have all of these attempts on the president's life and his security still sucks. And they're still not checking things they're supposed to be checking. And they're now catching people prior to the attempts, at different locations that he's supposed to arrive at or play golf.
Well, and that's the question too. Who caught them? Right. Private Trump security or the Secret Service? My guess is it was private security. And if I was him, I'd have my private security as the lead in all of my security details, especially after Butler, when the Secret Service seemed to be complicit in the assassination attempt on him.
Yeah, who doesn't? There's certain things that you always check. And there's certain things that you constantly patrol when you're doing a protection detail, and they're not doing any of it. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous.
By the way,
location was leaked, right?
Yeah, it was leaked.
The one, and then we still don't have answers on Thomas Crooks. We don't know anything about him anymore. Still, even though he's in a BlackRock commercial. Yeah,
Thomas Crooks or Matthew Urich. We're not sure which is which.
Guys, by the way, hosed his brains into the yard.
Yeah, thank you guys for. The Rumble Rants, the Super Chats, we really need those to keep this show going. It's not going to be around if you don't do that, as Deb says. So please subscribe at Rumble Rant and Super Chat. Just throw us $5, $10. I got to take care of these guys. They're my guys. So speaking of leaks, Jennifer Griffin of Fox News, who hates Donald Trump, committed treason this week from my perspective. And let's just watch this report from this ugly witch bitch.
Well, the Pentagon is confronting a growing reality after months of fighting in Iran. America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more. Well, the Pentagon is confronting a growing...
Well, first of all, that's ridiculous that it's going to take 3 years to... First of all...
Take about 3 weeks.
First of all, take about, maybe a month. But first of all, we still have plenty of missiles left. That's not an issue. But she gave the actual numbers. That's the only part of her report that's true, is the actual numbers. She gave the actual numbers, and that is kind of a little bit on the treason side of things. And it became an issue. It became an issue on where am I going? On Fox News today. There was information from the cabinet meeting on Friday that was leaked to Jennifer, or leaked to some reporters on CNN. Oh shoot, let me get this. God, I hate the way StreamYard does this. Let's add this to the stage. There was other information about the Iran bombing plans that was leaked on Friday from a Friday meeting.
operation that was leaked over the weekend. It's obviously, they need to figure out who's leaking from the White House. That has to be someone high within government that put that out there to sources. It's our job as the press to cover that. But I'm curious from your perspective and your sources on the state of play that league played out in the Middle East, and who then phoned the White House to get to the negotiating table.
It's a great question because these leaks can be substantial. And when you're looking at a situation with 50,000 U.S. service members, destroyers, refuelers, fighter jets across the region, the operational security is very significant. Whenever
what happened?
Yeah, we lost it.
But also Gulf allies like Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE. What was interesting, though, Lawrence, we spoke with senior Israeli intelligence officials over the weekend who said they weren't even aware of the details of the plan. And that's how close the administration was holding these details to the chest because of how sensitive it is in the region. And so moving forward, we do anticipate the Trump administration will do everything possible to ensure that they're not giving Iran a heads up. They want to keep the Iranians guessing as these diplomatic pathways play out, understanding that if the talks fail, we are likely looking at a return to combat operations.
So obviously, Trey, we are seeing the White House trying to keep their cards close to the vest, but there is also a tremendous buildup. We've watched a tremendous buildup over the last couple of months. Some of that is Trump trying to put pressure on Iran. But when you compare the buildup that we've seen over the last couple of weeks to the buildup that we had.
Okay, well, so let's stop it right there. I should have stopped it at the obvious breaking point. The question is, who in that cabinet meeting? We have a traitor. We have a mole inside the cabinet of the United States of America, or a staffer, somebody in there. Any guesses as to who's leaking to the press on this stuff, and what needs to happen to them? TV's
probably his chief of staff.
Yeah, probably fat Susie Wiles. Take a guess, Blake. Who do you think is the leaker?
I think there might be some kind of an internal split. I think people are, worried. There's a lot of military that is not interested in going into war, and they're, sounding the alarm on this. Now, I think it was leaked originally by NBC. I think CBS, Washington Post started to run it, and eventually Jennifer Griffin, who I think of as just delivering propaganda straight from the Pentagon. I don't think she's trying to go out of line. I think there actually is some concern here that we've stretched ourselves pretty thin, and we've given a lot of weaponry to Ukraine or defending Israel and our allies, the bases around the Middle East. And I think there is concern that if we get into, war, we're going to run low on supplies. I don't know. I've heard they take years. I have no idea how long it's going to take to, with these sophisticated missiles, because I think they use a lot of technology that does take a while, or I don't know if they have enough resources or what have you. So
you don't go into a war without having that stuff ready to go, or at least you have backups. Like, you're ready to hit the manufacturing. You've got all your supplies, you got all your materials. You might need some exotic rare earth materials and stuff, but that stuff's all ready to go. I mean, you should be able to replace. And by the way, those numbers are only about half, considering the thousands. They're only down about 50%. You can replenish that in 3 months, not 3 years. I don't know.
It depends on how many locations you open up. There's a drone manufacturing plant they're getting ready to build down toward Fort Bragg. They're actually licensing the drone technology from Ukraine. I'm sure they're going to pay off some of their debt with us. But here's the thing to remember with the Strait of Hormuz. Iran is on one side and Oman is on the other side. And what Iran's trying to do right now is they're trying to get Oman to be an ally with them so they can control the Strait of Hormuz. Now, you don't hear about this much in the news, but the Omanis need to have close monitoring, because if they make a deal with Iran instead of with the United States, we're going to have hell to pay in the Strait of Hormuz.
Well, it's really interesting because today, about 6 hours ago, President Trump was taking questions, and what he said was the Strait of Hormuz is going to be open tomorrow. So let's listen to that.
It's not very complex. We're talking about the Strait, the opening of the Strait, having it open literally by tomorrow, completely open. And that's phase one. It's not very complex.
That's phase one. And the Iraqis announced that they ran a ship right through the Strait of Hormuz today, and nobody said shit or did anything, and nobody paid any fines or penalties or passageway. They just went right through. So what is the state of the war in Iran right now, Brooks? Do you have any idea?
Yeah, here's what's happening inside Iran. What's happening is the State Department is working with organizations in Iran to set up basically no-go zones for the IRGC. They're allowing these areas to operate without IRGC interference, so they can set up banks, they can set up trade, they can get groceries in there, things like that, and no IRGC troops. Iran's a big country, and the IRGC is taking a lot of hits, and they can't monitor the whole country. Part of the enemy that the Islamic Republic has are Persians, which make up about 70% of the country.
Yeah.
So that's who we're trying to work with in Iran. I think I get frustrated because Trump talks about these deals and how close we are to making a deal. And then the Iranians turn right around to the microphone and say, what are you talking about? We're not discussing any deal. We're not talking to Donald Trump. What are you talking about? They just trying to embarrass him in the public eye. And Trump hates that. And, you know, the way we're attacking them right now is we're attacking IRGC strong points and coordination points and intelligence points. But we need to sanitize the Strait of Hormuz. We need to sanitize it for about 20 miles inland.
How about a neutron bomb? There were some weird rumors. There were some weird rumors that Trump was going to do something semi-nuclear or nuclear. Now, the neutron bomb supposedly was banned. I'm sure we built them anyway. And if you don't know what that is, it's a nuclear, mini nuclear weapon that doesn't have much of a yield, but it creates a very short-term radioactive, very intense radioactive field or area. Like if you hit it, anything that's in there, in that field, in that range, dies. Period.
Without blowing up buildings.
And then about a year later, all the radiation is expired. It goes through the half-life process. It's what's the word, Brooks? I'm missing the word. Half-life. The half-life is about less than a year, and you can go back in just like nothing ever happened.
Well, the neutron bomb doesn't destroy much real estate, but the real estate they want to destroy is Pickaxe Mountain. Now, what kind of gave it away is when Hegseth was talking about using very old technology that's never been used before. And once they use it, the kind of cat's going to be out of the bag, so they don't want to discuss it. I think that old technology is the Ripple technology. Ripple technology allows a fusion bomb with no atom bomb to set it off. So there's no residual radiation, just the blast.
So you think it's this Ripple technology, not the neutron bomb, which could, I won a debate on the neutron bomb in high school in the late 1970s. So you don't think it's I think it might be.
I think a 20 megaton bomb would take Pickaxe Mountain out, and it would turn everything within 6,000 feet of the surface into an incinerator.
Yeah,
over
but you could also
5,000 degrees.
You could also just tell everybody in Iran, you need to be out of this zone along the Strait of Hormuz in 24 hours. Get out. And if you don't get out, you're going to die. And then you just neutron bomb the whole thing and nothing lives, whether it's above ground or underground. You're all dead. All right. We'll see what happens there. There's one last issue that I think is really important, which is that what time are we going to hear that Mitch McConnell is dead? That is the question. Let's take a chat here. Let's have a little chat with Mitch McConnell's communications director.
Tell us what's going on with Senator McConnell. We haven't had any updates. Is he doing better? Do you by happen to know if he, or can you tell us, did he sign that July 28th letter, or was that an auto pen from your office? I know people in Kentucky are getting frustrated that they have missed over 46 roll call votes. So anything you can provide us on his current status, I think would be greatly appreciated. Do you think it's fair that your office and the other staffers are still getting paid while
by a dead man
go without representation? No comment to any of this?
How long has he been dead?
Thank you. Tell us what's going on with Senator McConnell.
Okay, so I really want this smug bitch to go to prison for about 10 or 15 years for this. I hope you like the taste of tuna, baby. How are they getting away with this still? And when do you think I think it has to be announced this week that he suddenly took a turn for a worse and had a stroke. Steve, what do you think?
Well, I mean, this is the United States of America. This isn't communist, old communist Russia.
Yeah, it is.
The fact that they can, it's getting there.
Yeah,
what I'm saying is that this is ridiculous that the president of the United States has not gone in or sent one of his representatives in to see what's going on with Mitch McConnell, take the press with him, and let the American people know what's happening. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. And for that staffer of his to be just a smug asshole and refuse to answer any questions to the American people about her boss and where he's at and what condition he's in is ludicrous, and that nobody's making him do it. It's just beyond belief that we live in supposedly a free country and we have elected officials that we are paying big bucks to and paying for his staff and paying for his office, and we can't even find out if he's dead or alive.
Yeah, it is ludicrous. And Brooks, what?
Well, it's not any worse than Mad Max being in a Alzheimer's clinic for the last 45 days, and other Democrats voting for her in proxy, which is absolutely illegal. It's just as bad as that. Both sides do it.
Yeah, but here's the thing that I don't get. Mitch McConnell is a deep state asset. He has always been a deep state asset. Blake, do you have any theory as to why Donald Trump has not confronted this? Because I believe if they had a runoff election in Kentucky, a MAGA candidate who would probably have voted for the Save America Act would have won. Why is Trump just sitting on his hands again?
I guess if he can, use this to his advantage, he will, depending on how this is going to vote.
Well, I mean, Mitch McConnell was not his friend. He was his enemy. He's as bad as any Democrat.
And he was also one of the most powerful senators in the Senate.
So what? He's dead. Can't do shit if you're dead, can you? Anyway,
this is totally unacceptable. It's disgusting what's happening in this country. They're avoiding this special election, so they're going to try to keep him on ice and keep playing this game. And I think even the governor was, I don't know if he was supposed to go down there, but I know he was even involved. So if Trump isn't going to do it, the governor should have. And the American people deserve an explanation. And it's just, they just throw it in our face. It's just a kleptocracy. It's the end of Rome, and nobody cares. And you can't hold anybody accountable.
Well, you know what? At the end of Rome, we had Caesar, right? And Trump needs to be Caesar, and instead he's being quisling. I don't know what's going on. We have one update on Iran. Scott Besson just went on and talked about an imminent deal. Let's listen to the Secretary of the Treasury and see what he says about this deal. This is, I guess, just tonight. He said this a few hours ago.
Open the strait and move towards a more normalized position in this conflict.
Qatar confirmed talks are moving, and so did Rubio.
I think the immediate deal, the one that you see a lot of focus on, is the Straits. The Straits, there are ships moving through the Straits. There's oil moving right now through the Straits. So the Straits are open. Nonetheless, I think that there's a conversation and a negotiation that we are involved in between Oman and Iran on how more ships can be able to go through there safely in the short term as we move towards these longer term talks about denuclearization. And suffice it to say, there's been progress made in those talks, but not finality yet. We're hoping that will happen very shortly.
Negotiations.
Okay, so apparently there really is some deal that is imminent. Brooks, is it going to be a permanent deal this time or just another temporary deal?
It's probably going to be another temporary deal unless, as I said, you find out what the Omanis are doing. They're being too quiet.
Yeah.
I think Iran's trying to make a deal with them so they can seal up both sides of the Strait of Hormuz. And of course, the issue is that we really should take some of those islands in the Strait of Hormuz. But the
Parg Island.
Yeah. The problem is, though, we have not had a Marine expeditionary force in over 20 years. We have no trained Marines that can do that kind of operation. We haven't trained to do that since the latest general took over the Marines. We've changed the focus of the Marines, and they don't do those expeditionary forces anymore.
Steve, is that true?
It's
You're a Marine.
Yeah, that is true. They have gutted the Marine Corps, and they don't have tanks anymore. They don't even have the equipment to do landings anymore.
Right.
They got rid of
No
all that
amphibious equipment.
So that's all gone. And, this is how many times have we discussed this issue? The peace agreement or the agreement to open the straits, it's not going to last. I mean, I'll be surprised if it lasts 2 days.
Yeah.
And then they're going to start shooting again.
Okay, so let's ask the question. Supposedly we have this one story where it's going to take the United States 3 years to replenish our missile supplies, but it takes Iran like a week. Isn't this bullshit? Some primitive bunch of goat fuckers like the Iranian Arabs.
They're getting.
Come on.
Is supplying them. China has been and is.
That is about to happen.
Them with munitions.
How, where, through what process?
Well, they're doing it over land, not over sea. And the Chinese have been warned not to do it.
But they're doing it anyway, and they have been doing it.
Yes, that's right.
All right. Well, all right, guys, that is going to wrap the show up for tonight. The problem is we don't really have any resolution to any of this stuff. Fauci needs to hang. Mitch McConnell needs to be exposed as being dead. They need to force a runoff election anyway. And we need to get this Iran thing over with so we can all focus on,
And the state of Colorado needs to be disqualified from the federal election because they will not turn over their voter rolls.
That's right. So Colorado loses their electoral votes in the next presidential election. How do you like them apples? I'm all in favor of that. All right, that is going to wrap it up. Anybody have any final thoughts before we hit it? Blake, Brooks? Blake, you got the girls coming in. Make sure there's plenty of whiskey there for those girls.
Absolutely.
Girls aren't really whiskey. Girls drink vodka.
Not really. No.
I would think on a personal note. About 18 days ago, the Postmaster General of the United States Post Office was pulled in front of a senatorial committee, and Josh Hawley basically spanked that ass in public. And the Postmaster General laughed at him. Literally laughed at him, and Josh Hawley was furious at it. Well, now I know why. Because when the Democrats shut down the government for 9 weeks, the U.S. Customs piled up millions of packages, millions of them. They couldn't process them. Now that they're reopened again, they've dumped all those packages on the USPS, and they can't process them. I have not had a delivery at any of my 7 offices in 13 days.
Yeah.
That has never, ever happened in the 6 years I've been in business.
Unfucking believable. So what are you going to do about it? What can we do about it? What should be done about it?
You just have to wait. I mean, I know what's going to happen. The postal truck's going to pull up and unload about 18 cases of product on my porch.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, my customers are not happy. They're not happy with me, and I'm not happy with them. So how do I transfer that unhappiness to the postal service? The postal service is fucking up.
Yep. Well, let's get it fixed. I mean, there's still so much shit out there to be fixed. I do have something on a personal note too. I would like to remind everybody that I will be at Alien Fest 2026 on Saturday, September 26th. along with my buddy Jason Martell from Ancient Aliens at the Windmill Library here in Las Vegas. This event is free to the public. They had over 1,500 people last year. They expect more this year. There's cosplay. It goes from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. I will be there the entire time. I'll have books to sell. I'll be signing books. I'm giving about an hour, presentation, and then I'm doing a question and answer panel. It's all free. Bring the kids. I promise I won't curse. It'll be a great time, and you have to see this library is better. It looks better than most evangelical churches. I mean, it's phenomenal, the architecture here, and the auditorium is great. Maybe after Iraq gets around to some business, maybe we'll use it for other events. But it's pretty spectacular. Be there, or be there.
Did you say crossplay?
Cosplay.
What
Cosplay.
Costume
play. It's where people
so
dress up
looking like Captain Kirk or something.
Yeah, exactly. And there's this. As an example, I wish I'd been prepared for this. I had a picture of this. There was a guy at San Diego Comic-Con, and at the end of Star Trek, at the end of the credits of the original series, there was this monster guy. He was called Baylock, and they showed his face, and then they flashed the credits. Executive in charge of production, Herbert F. Salos. This guy made an entire Baylock costume, and then he had a piece of glass or plastic in front of him with the credits. So, I mean, that is really smart cosplay. You would be shocked, Steve, at how brilliant some of these costumes are that people come up with. It's really hilarious. So
the most popular girls' costume is Glitch from Arcane, which off the chain.
And all of those people still live in their parents' basements and never get
No, they're all successful people. They just really get into their science fiction.
It used to be, what's her name? Margot Robbie from Suicide Squad. What was her character's name? I forgot.
Harley Quinn.
Harley Quinn. She was the most popular one for a long time. All right. It wasn't the Clint Howard. It was the monster Baylock, Rick Norman. Not the Clint Howard Baylock, but the monster, his doppelganger. All right, that is going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate each and every one of you, especially and more so those of you who actually contributed a Rumble Rant or a Super Chat. We'll see you next Tuesday. Hopefully, we can get some resolution to some of this stuff real soon. Why am I orange? I don't know, because the sun's Bye-bye. All right, boys, good job.